Hey devs! Welcome back to the channel. I'm starting a new series for C-sharp clean code practices, where we take messy, spaghetti-style code and turn it into something you would actually be proud to show your team. This is part 1 in the series. Tip 1. All right, first up, stop naming variables like you are in a speed typing competition. Use variable names that actually make sense. Look, I get it when you are in the zone. It's tempting to name stuff A, B, or C to save a second. But trust me, that's a recipe for headaches when you are debugging later. Good names tell a story. They make your code read like a sentence, not a puzzle. Tip 2. Stop using magic numbers. You know, those random numbers like just chilling in your code with no explanation? Yeah, those are trouble. They make your code confusing and a pain to update. Why bother with constants? They make your code easier to read and way easier to change later. Imagine you're working on an e-commerce app with a tax rate like 0.08 hard-coded everywhere. If that rate changes, you are stuck updating 50 files. With a constant, you change it once and you are golden. Tip 3. Use VR when the type is super obvious. You don't need to type out long type names when your compiler already knows what's up. It's like repeating yourself in a conversation. Nobody likes that. Why do this? var keeps your code clean and saves you some typing. It's fantastic for lists, dictionaries, or linq queries when you're crunching data. Tip 4. Ditch string concatenation for string interpolation. Concatenation with plus signs is old school and messy. There is a cleaner, more modern way to do it. Why switch? Interpolation is easier to read and way less likely to mess up your spacing. Real-life example. If you're building email templates, logging messages, or UI labels for a web app, interpolation makes your life significantly easier. Plus, it's excellent for formatting like turning a price into a nice currency format with just a few characters. You'll love it. Tip 5. Use nameof instead of hard-coding variable names. Hard-coding names is like leaving sticky notes all over your house. You're gonna regret it when things change. Why's this cool? If you rename a variable, nameof updates automatically, so your error messages stay in sync. Tip 6. Use var for linq queries. Linq queue types can get crazy long and complicated. Why deal with that when you don't have to? Why do this? var keeps things short and sweet without making your code any harder to understand. Tip 7. Skip unnecessary comments. Comments are great for explaining why you're doing something, not what your code is doing. If your code requires a comment to be understandable, it may be time to reconsider your naming or structure. Real-life example. In a team project, tons of what comments make pull requests harder to read. Save comments for stuff like tricky business rules or why you're handling a weird edge case in a payment system. Tip number 8. Use string. Is null or white space? Forget those long, clunky null checks. C# has a slick way to handle them. Why's this awesome? It's short, clean, and catches null, empty, and white space-only strings in one shot. Tip 9. Use object initializers. Why write 3 lines of code when you can do it in one? Let's cut to the chase. Real-life example. When setting up DTOs for an API, such as sending user information to the front-end object initializers, make your code concise and easy to read. This is one of those tricks that feels like a cheat code. Tip 10. Use switch expressions. Those long if-else chains? They're so outdated. Switch expressions are clean, modern, and honestly, kind of fun. Real-life example. If you're showing status codes on a dashboard like active or inactive for user accounts, switch expressions keep your code neat and tidy. Once you try these, you'll never want to write another if-else chain again. And there you have it. 10 clean code tips that will make your code look like golden. Which one are you going to start using today? Drop it in the comments, smash that like button if you learned something new, and subscribe for more dev tips that make your code cleaner. Until next time, happy coding!